Kathleen Sampson is in the middle of surgery to remove her left kidney and give it to a complete stranger out of the goodness of her heart. Kathleen has never met this man.
We are the children.
But they have something in common. Barry Mendez is also doing something most of us would never dream of, giving a kidney to someone he doesn't know. But Barry's inspiration is different from Kathleen's.
It's a comic about Jesus. It's the Gospel of John in picture form.
He's a member of a religious group where most of the members have given kidneys. His case and others like it raise a question. Is the need for organs so desperate that hospitals and doctors will take donors they shouldn't? Barry and his group, the Jesus Christians, travel the world in trailers preaching the gospel.
We're just a bunch of Christians who just live together like the early Christians did.
Out of the 28 Jesus Christians worldwide, 15 have given kidneys. In Australia, where the group was founded, the government for the state of Victoria is so suspicious of the Jesus Christians, they're banned from donating to strangers. Many European countries also ban or make it very difficult for so-called Good Samaritan donors. So the Jesus Christians come to the U.S.
I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Barry says the decision to give his kidney away was his, that his fellow Jesus Christians had nothing to do with it.
I've done something to help someone, and that is the message of love, basically, that, from my understanding, what Jesus was trying to teach us.
Now to a bizarre cult targeting young Australians.
The Australian press refers to the Jesus Christians as the kidney cult, charging that leader David McKay coerces members into donating like he did in 2003.
I consider it a privilege. I've been fighting and struggling to get in there at the end of the queue and get it over with, so I can feel that satisfaction that if I died afterwards, that at least somebody's going to live on with my kidney.
McKay says the Jesus Christians are not a cult, and he's never coerced any of them into donating a kidney.
How are you doing?
Good.
Dr. Robert Montgomery knows Barry is a member of the Jesus Christians. In fact, his hospital, Johns Hopkins, has taken kidneys from members of this group before.
So we're going to divide the blood vessels right there. Any questions about any of that?
After hearing about the risks, Barry signs the consent forms.
I've read all the literature, went through the issues, and I'm fully aware. And yeah, it's just a risk.
I think it's highly coercive that these people are forced to donate.
Donna Lubke is fighting for stricter rules for screening organ donors.
You feel like there is coercion?
Yes, I think their leader is coercive of the followers. And is this their means to salvation by making a human sacrifice of themselves? And the transplant community is participating in that.
We'll just try and do what you want us to do.
I think there needs to be an investigation into what centers are doing those surgeries and to really look at the coercive nature of that cult or that religion, whatever you want to call it. But it really concerns me that these surgeons know who they are and are still doing these surgeries.
This doesn't worry Hopkins or the Mayo Clinic or other hospitals that have taken kidneys from Jesus Christians. Surgeons like Dr. Montgomery don't believe they're coerced.
Are the Marines a cult? Are they being coerced to go over to Iraq? As far as I know, what they've done is done good for other people. Just because a large number of people in a group have done a good thing doesn't mean that they're crazy. I mean, just think of the cynicism in that, thinking that they're crazy, that they're a cult, I don't know what they really are, but I know that they've done a good thing.
But some are concerned that transplant surgeons have a conflict of interest when it comes to watching out for donors.
They're not thinking about the donors first and foremost. They're thinking about the recipients. They're thinking about what that means to save lives, which is why they do this, what it means to keep them financially going, which is done by transplanting people. You're out of business if you don't have the organs. And that's the first and the second order of business. Kind of down at third or fourth, donor advocacy, donor protection.
Dr. Benedict Cosimi, chief of transplantation at Harvard Medical School, disagrees.
I think, if anything, the living donor receives as much scrutiny and care and consideration as does the recipient. And it's kind of irritating, actually, for someone to claim that transplant surgeons are just out there trying to do as many cases as possible and ignoring the needs and the care of these individuals.
It went beautifully. Yep. Took a little time. He did very well.
I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
Immediately after surgery, Barry is joined by his fellow Jesus Christians, some of them kidney donors themselves.
Which parts of the scripture inspired you to give away your kidney?
Well, there's one in Romans 12. It says basically our bodies are living sacrifices. I'm sharing one of my kidneys. I have two, he had none. Why not?
Forevermore.
3 days after surgery, Barry leaves Hopkins. At the hospital's expense, he'll move out of the camper and spend 10 days in a hotel. Meanwhile, Scott Keller, who received Barry's kidney, is able to get off dialysis for the first time in 16 years.
Words will never be able to express, the thanks that I have for him.